What popular rumor in your school turned out to be true? That one of the students was actually a cop. Turns out he *1* a cop, and busted one of the actual students for selling handguns in school. If you thought 21 Jump Street was unrealistic, think again. Cop was a 33-year-old male, and undercover for like half the semester. In high school, that the biology teacher was growing weed in the environmental lab. Supposedly he did it for 30 years without anyone noticing. No one could ever prove it though. Later on, I was assigned to be the agent taking care of some of his financial matters, so I went to his house to have him sign some paperwork. He had a hydroponic setup there, so I asked him about the environmental lab. It was like Han Solo in The Force Awakens. It's true. All of it. Then he offered me a brownie. Deleted. There was always a rumor that the head janitor was a huge pothead and would smoke with students in one of the storage sheds away from the main building. I always figured it was bullshit until my friend CJ sent me a pic of him and the janitor smoking weed while surrounded by folding chairs. That one of the seniors in my school wrote all over the men's bathroom about bringing a bomb to school. The bomb squad evacuated us all. Dogs came, and they found one in a random locker. It was absolutely nuts. Kid got arrested 2 seats next to me in English class a couple of days later, once they could prove he did it. Our freshman science teacher was a massive jerk to any girl, and would frequently throw the dress code book at girls for the slightest issue. Everyone said it was because he was pissed his daughter became a stripper. That ended up being true. Deleted. In middle school, we had a cool social studies teacher. He loved the popular boys, especially the athletes, and not only ignored bullying in his classes of unpopular kids, he often took part in it. He also offered up his services for tutoring to these boys. Everyone always thought he was a child molester, except the popular boys, who would threaten you if they heard you talk bad about him. When we came back to school at the beginning of 8th grade, he was gone. As was one of the more popular boys in school. He transferred to an insanely expensive private school. Turns out, sure enough, he was molested by the teacher several times during tutoring sessions at the teacher's house. The school district agreed to pay to send the kid to private school as part of a settlement. Some girl had sex with her half-brother. We all thought it was rumor until she got drunk at a party and told everyone that a science teacher used to be a stripper. We had a dean who retired one summer. Turns out, he was busted in a huge prostitution/drug sting by cops. He had 2 prostitutes and cocaine in his apartment when he got rolled up. Ended up pleading guilty to felony drug possession, a few others I can't remember, and sentenced to 5 years on probation. He was an advisor for the school's drug/alcohol task force. Nice enough guy. Really cool with all of his students, maybe too cool. Always seemed to have super red eyes. I had a science teacher that was rumored to get a boner whenever he started shouting. We thought it was a myth until we noticed it for real. He would always try put one leg up on a chair to hide it. The new teacher was rumored to be a pedophile. We found out it was true when he got arrested just a couple days into the 2nd semester. The band teacher was having a long-term affair with one of the students. We were in 8th grade. Her parents apparently knew about it all along, and were fine with it, but one of the other band parents noticed inappropriate behavior when she was helping chaperone a Disney trip they were all on. It was big news lol. In my Catholic, Jesuit, high school, one of the priests and one of the nuns were very close friends. We all loved them, and we could see that they were quite fond of one another, and they made a really nice-looking couple. We used to affectionately kid them about meeting in the tunnel between the convent and the rectory. A few years after my class graduated, they both left their orders, got married, and had kids. We're all happy for them. Removed. A girl in my econ class lost her dad, but a rumor started going around that he didn't die. He was arrested as a serial killer. Turned out to be true, and was featured a few years ago on Evil Lives Here show. One of the teachers was banging a student. They got caught the year he left, but it was rumored 3 years before that 2 of the science teachers do shrooms together found out cause one of their sons was a student. When I was a sophomore in high school, the basketball coach became the new principal of the school. He had a girl, who was on the girls' basketball team, worked in his office. Back then students were allowed to work as an office assistant, if their grades were good, and if they are seniors, she was there almost all the time even when she wasn't supposed to be. The rumor was that they were sleeping with each other, because people would see them doing things after school, like running together, and go out to eat somewhere. These rumors were later blew off as nothing, because even though he was the principal, he still devoted his time to an after-school jogging/running class to help students and teachers stay active and keep in shape, and buying dinner at McDonald's for a student isn't the same as taking them somewhere more extravagant like steakhouse. After I came back as a junior from summer break, everyone in our class, and in the entire school, found out that they both got married, and were expecting their first child together. He was married with children from a previous marriage that ended after the girl graduated from high school. The band director was grooming and seducing his favorite female percussionists. Edit. Apparently this is something of a common occurrence. Anywho, he finally got caught with one of the girls in his car late at night. I was being a father figure, mentor, yada yada yada. Everyone knew the real story. He lost his job, and personally I've never heard about him since. The new physics teacher was a total creep. The old spidey sense kicked in for all of us. We could all tell something was wrong with the guy. Most of us dropped the class. Plus he sucked as a teacher, and everyone was failing. Years later I stumbled across a news article saying the teacher was fired and arrested for videotaping girls in the classroom through the use of camera hidden in the classroom. Mostly aimed at cleavage and upskirt/shorts shots. We knew he was a weirdo. Time always tells the tale. Paige was pregnant. None of us believed her. We were 13, and we were just about to start sex ed classes in a few weeks to learn about sex, so we all thought she was making it up. Then she started to gain weight, but she had always been kind of overweight, and so no one really believed her then either. Then she brought sonogram pictures in, because she was sick of people not believing her. Most people believed her after that. Then she got taken out of school, and this was back when FB was super popular, and everyone was talking about her. Maybe a few months later she had posted all these pictures. Sorry I didn't believe you, Paige. I looked her back up when I was 15. She had a second kid. We had heard an underclassman, she was 15-ish, was sleeping with a local army guy, but nobody really believed it until the day our school got locked down. Her boyfriend showed up with a knife. The boyfriend, in his 30s, was intending to force her go get an abortion, but our principal was a badass, who locked her in his office, then took the boyfriend down, and held him in a headlock until the cops arrived. Edit. This absolutely was a case of statutory rape. I use the term boyfriend BC, that's how she still refers to him, and I didn't think about changing it. My bad, I apologize if I angered anyone. In middle school, there was a rumor my 7th/8th grade social studies teacher owned a pet donkey. Turned out to be true. The donkey's name was Pedro the Donkey. One of our teachers, where fucking a rich student stand for expensive cars and other shit, heard her talk about it in the hallway on her phone. Rumor was the JR High English teacher was a bit of a perv. Most of our parents would say, hey, stop joking about that. Turned out he was. About 10 years ago he was arrested, charged and convicted on child porn charges. Edit. For all the people asking, because I can't answer each one individually, he wasn't discovered and charged until after he'd been teaching for years. Almost a decade after I graduated from HS, there was a complaint he'd been selling weed in exchange for, and finally one of the parents got wind. Police raided his place, found weed, and tapes and other things. He was put in jail and of course lost his job. Got stabbed by one of his prior victims, so there's some justice. Small towns, eh? Edit 2. I get that people are upset about background checks, but this was in the late 70s, early 80s, so, let's face it, background checks were mostly calling references and previous jobs. It was simpler, stupider time.